Alright, so this here is DistroTube, DTE, Derek Taylor, whatever you want to call him. And he made a video talking about AI. So we're going to get into it. Here we go.
In the last couple of years, I've really embraced the idea of AI when it
Hang
comes
on.
to some of these AI tools, like these AI chat assistants and
Why
generative
is it so
AI
quiet?
tools. I've really kind of embraced this stuff because I see how incredibly useful and how beneficial these AI tools are. And I know a lot of people, for whatever reason, especially in the free and open source software community, a lot of people criticize AI. They have a very negative opinion of it. They don't want AI to exist. Well, guess what, guys? Unfortunately, I live in reality. AI.
Okay, so right out of the bat, the boomer argument. Well, guess what? I live in reality. That's not what people are talking about. No one's denying reality here. They're against it. That doesn't mean they're denying it. Also, doesn't even mention any of the actual benefits that he said. So,
Exists, it will always exist, and it will only grow bigger as far as more important in our lives. And I'm
hey guys, you know what? Fascism exists and it's growing in our lives. We should just embrace it. We pretty much have. We elected a Nazi into the office.
embrace reality, right? I don't like to live in.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to embrace a bad reality. You can accept that something is real, and then embracing it is a totally different thing. All right. I accept that cars pollute. I don't embrace that fact. I would like to work towards cars that don't pollute. Rejection and denial of reality are two different things. I can reject reality as in, I don't want it to be that way, I'm going to try to change it, versus denying it, I don't believe it is that way. This guy is conflating being against something with believing it doesn't exist, so right out the bat, he's being stupid with this.
Fantasy land. I'm not going to pretend like AI
Fantasyland.
is not a thing. So I like playing with these tools.
Who is. Oh, okay, DT. If you see this, please tell me who is pretending that AI is not a thing? Honestly, honest to God. Who is pretending AI is not a thing?
I love playing with things like these chat assistants like ChatGPT, or for those of you that want an open source alternative, what I've really gravitated to recently has been Llama.
Llama's not actually open source. I don't even know how you could define an LLM's training data as open source, since most of it's made off of proprietary stuff. The only thing that I could say is an honestly open source AI would be Codium, because it's explicitly trained on permissively licensed code and nothing else. But Llama is made the same way all these other LLMs are made, by just scraping the entire internet. And instead of it being an opt-in process, which it should be, it's opt-out. And if you haven't opted out, you didn't see this coming, well, they already got you.
But, a couple of weeks back, I was on the No Tucks Allowed podcast, which is hosted by Big Pod and Josh Lee. And they were asking me about some of the AI tools that I use. And it was all about the chat assistants. And they asked me, did I use any like generative AI image generators, right? And I didn't.
So for chatbots, I don't know what he's using chatbots for. I can't think of using chatbots for anything other than fantasy, because they tend to hallucinate. Trying to get like information, concrete information out of an AI has been ridiculously, absurdly impossible because they keep hallucinating. They're really literally only good for fantasy. And it's not even that very imaginative fantasy. Again, it's basically an average of every fantasy put together with a little salt added for randomness so that you get a different result every time you hit regenerate.
Never played with any of that stuff until here recently. Now, you guys that were paying attention probably noticed on one of my recent videos, I actually used a AI model to actually generate this image. This image here, 3 ways to try Linux before making the switch. This image was created using DALL-E.
And why did you need DALL-E for this image? You could have just used a screenshot of Linux. You could have, like, I don't know, 3 ways to try. Like, why not a picture of a thumb drive for people who live CD, a picture of boot partitions, and maybe a picture of, say, I don't know, a Tuxedo computer. Like, use pictures of actual real things. The thumbnail tells me nothing informative about it. It's just background noise.
A lot of people spotted that I used DALL-E to make this image because I got a ton of negative comments. People were like, "Oh my God, DT, I can't believe you used AI to create a thumbnail. You used AI slop to create a thumbnail. You're a horrible person, DT. AI sucks. You suck. Blah 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 blah."
Blah 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 blah. So, look, he's so mature. He's so mature. Blah 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 blah. Instead of looking at what people are actually saying, looking into why people are getting mad at him. Like, DT, I'm sure you didn't just suddenly embrace Linux out of the blue. You heard about it, you wondered what's up with it, and you investigated, right? Here you're getting this reaction. People are coming to you saying that AI is terrible, you shouldn't use it. You're getting emotional instead of investigating. Why are people getting mad at me? Why should I stop doing this? Is there a point that these people might have? Maybe I should listen to what the other side has to say.
All right. So, first of all, the term AI slop, obviously, the slop, these people, it's basically they're saying that my AI images are basically akin to spam when they call AI.
They basically are. There's no content. It literally has nothing to it. Like, you had what looked like screenshots of fictional Linux distros.
AI generated images slop. It has a negative connotation. They're trying to be derogatory, right?
They're trying to be derogatory. No, it's literally slop. There's nothing of value there.
Right? They're basically saying, "Hey, you used a garbage image. These aren't."
Look at it. It's 3 messed up looking tuxes and some screenshots of software that doesn't exist. What is anyone supposed to take from that? It's slop.
Aren't even real images, and they're just slop, right? They're spam, they're trash. And you know what? I thought the image was very good. I spent like 30 seconds asking.
I spent like 30 seconds asking for it. I worked so hard, guys. I spent like 30 seconds on it. God, is that just how bad people's attention spans are? I spent like 30 seconds on it.
DALL-E to make that image for me, and I thought it was a nice image, but apparently people hated it. I don't understand why.
I don't understand why. Maybe you should listen to them. Maybe you should look into what effect AI is having on people. Maybe you should look into the artists who have lost their jobs to AI. I heard this story about this artist. She was like just making a bunch of concept art, right? That was her job. She's a concept artist. And she didn't know that her bosses were feeding her work to an AI to fine-tune it so that it could mimic her style. And then she lost her job to it. She literally got replaced by a freaking computer that had learned to mimic her art style. You don't understand? Open your ears. Stop being such a complainy, whiny, grouchy boomer. Open your ears and listen to why people are upset.
Now, I've only been playing with DALL-E for really just a few days, and I'm impressed, so impressed. I wanted to share a little bit about DALL-E with you guys if you're unfamiliar with it. I'm no expert.
Okay, so full disclosure, I did play with AI for a while. I thought it was neat. I thought it was fun that I could make it make little goofs, like a picture of Toad dressed as the Pope riding a flying squirrel. I did it for goofs. I never used it as a replacement for work. Like, I'm not selling AI art. I've used it for a couple concepts, which I then threw away because they were garbage. Not going to use them. And I learned about the environmental impact of AI. How much water and electricity gets spent running these machines. It's mind-blowing how costly this stuff actually is. So yeah, I stopped. I just stopped. As soon as I learned, I stopped. That's what you need to do, DT. You need to listen and you need to learn.
Kind of new to me, but DALL-E is it's actually an AI system that is created by OpenAI. OpenAI is the same company that created ChatGPT. So,
And they're proprietary garbage, DT. You should know this. The name OpenAI is a lie. There's nothing open about them. You got mad at Red Hat years ago for going proprietary, and yet here you are shilling this proprietary garbage that's literally built off of further copyright infringement. I don't know your stance on copyright. I'm personally against it, but I feel like you should at least recognize that.
it's the same folks behind ChatGPT. They had a older model of DALL-E called DALL-E 2, which when you clicked on Try DALL-E, you'd go to this site.
What is this? An avocado chair. It looks like someone just took a chair and photoshopped an avocado into it. Probably would have looked better if you'd done that. The robot playing chess with the pieces all different sizes. I guess maybe you could say that one's making a statement of some kind. There's one that is literally just an orange. It looks like someone just took a photo of an orange half and stuck an oil painting filter over it. And then the fish looks like a stock image. It looks like someone took a stock model, put it in a stock bowl, and just rendered it on an empty scene. None of this looks good.
And you could search through random images that it generates, or you can go through collections of images, and then you can modify the images. And this was kind of neat, but it was also kind of limited on some of the resolutions that they had. But they have a new model out now called DALL-E 3. And if you want to try DALL-E 3, all you need to do is actually sign up for DALL-E 3. And now when you log into ChatGPT, you have the option to choose between ChatGPT, which is, of course, your chat assistant, and DALL-E, which is the image generator. And I've got some of my recent requests for images over here. If I take a look.
He just said the magic word right there. Request. You're not creating anything, you're requesting it. The computer's doing all the work. Like, literally, I don't remember if he's gonna, like, say that he created it or not, but he already said the quiet part out loud. These are just requests. This is you putting in as much work as if you had requested it from a real artist. It's not your creation. It's not.
Look at the request I did to create that thumbnail the other day. You can see what I asked DALL-E. I said, create an image that includes screenshots from at least 4 different distros.
And did it even do that? These are not real Linux distros here. These are just mushes that are in the vague shape of a Linux screenshot. At least 4 different distros. Can you tell me what distros are actually there? Like it says on the text there, it says Ubuntu, Fedora, Mint, and Arch. And none of those look like GNOME. It says GNOME here, but yeah, none of these look like GNOME. It looks like just a grid of icons, the same context menu, and some spirally splotch that gets put on all of them.
Now let me zoom in so you can actually read the text here. And DALL-E responded that they can't use real screenshots. They can't use real photographs.
Yeah, it even says that I can't do that. Looking at the stream title, what did he do now? He's defending AI. He used it to make a thumbnail, and instead of just, listening to why people were upset about it and learning from his mistake, he's like, I'm gonna get butthurt and make an emotional response video to all y'all. Like, I don't understand. And, like, he's being so immature about it, too. That's really tame to what I remember him doing. Oh, what did he do? You have my attention now. What did he do? Anti-vax credit? Oh, of course. Why am I not surprised? Yeah, I mean, it's not like people were literally dying during the pandemic or anything. No. It's the same stuff that I stopped watching Lunduk for. I feel bad that I actually, when I was going through my short little AI phase, I actually made fun of Lunduk for getting mad about AI. I can't believe I owe Lunduk an apology. But I'm hesitant to give it because he also made he made several anti-vax videos, so, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
It's got to be actual art that it creates on the fly. You can give it certain styles. For example, if you want a comic book look, or you can see down here, impressionism, origami, comic book, ink wash, folk art. There's like hundreds of different styles you can ask it. You can ask it to do ceramic art or steampunk, whatever. And
okay, yeah, you can ask it for anything, but is it going to be good?
Button and keep getting ideas, pixel art, expressionism.
Do not. You get pixel art out your mouth. AI does not understand pixel art at all. Don't you dare even mention pixel art. One use of AI that's definitely good. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're so detecting cancer cells. The AI bros love bringing that up like it has anything to do with generative AI. And that's a totally different field. That's got nothing to do with art. And then they're like, look, that's a real good use. That means AI is good. Like, no. No, just because you've got one doesn't mean it's all good. A lot of it's bad. A lot of it's very bad. There's very few good uses. Like, even with Codium, the only thing I use that for is as, like, a context-sensitive autocomplete. Yeah. Like, I don't even do the, like, requesting code thing that Codium offers, because I know it might hallucinate and give me something that's just, like, totally stupid. So I just use it for autocomplete, which it works for that. I'm not sure if it needs a full LLM behind it to make that work, but it works. So you got that, and you've got, I guess, roleplay. AI is okay at that. If you're, like, really freaking lonely and none of your friends want to RP with you, you can use it for that. Or you just want to roleplay with characters that nobody else wants to play as, I don't know. I've done some funny stuff, but, like, that's the case where, like, the hallucination's actually funny, is in roleplay. It's not good at that now. Yeah, it seems to be getting worse at that. I find I stopped doing roleplay because, like, it, like, argues too much. That's another thing. People saying that AI is a tool. Tools don't argue. If I go into Krita and say I want to make this thing red, it's not going to say, no, you should make that blue. It's not going to do that. What's the little button there? That works. Is that like telling the only option the AI gives you here is to say good job?
Motion blur, graffiti, mirrored glass. Anyway, you can pick a style if you want. For me, I didn't even ask it for a specific style. I just said create an image that includes screenshots from at least 4 Linux distros.
Yeah, you put so little thought into your quote-unquote creation that you didn't even think of what style you wanted it in. You know what I would have done here if I wanted an image that included 4 screenshots? Now, follow me on this, okay? This is very complex. But what I would do is I would go online. I would go to an image search site, right? And I would get some screenshots. And then I would put those screenshots together in a single image. And you know what? I wouldn't have to take an entire third world country village's worth of water to make it.
And then it gave me a couple of examples. It gave me 2 examples to choose from in case I liked one more than the other. And without me giving it specific distros to represent in the thumbnail, it picked Ubuntu, Fedora, Linux Mint, and Arch, which I thought was kind of cool that it picked 4, obviously, of the biggest distributions as far as...
The reason why is because it works on averages. Those are the most popular, so on average, those are the most likely to come up, so that's what it picked.
Popularity on Linux, right? Especially desktop Linux. Like, if I would have picked 4 desktop Linux distros to make a thumbnail out of, I probably would have picked the exact same 4 distributions, so that was very nice. One thing...
I probably would have done the exact same thing. Okay, so why didn't you? Why didn't you just go get actual screenshots? Like, unless it can... like, if it can't accurately produce screenshots of these distros, why use it? Why use it if it's not accurate? Isn't accuracy, like, the most important thing?
To note with the images, they come in 3 different resolutions, and you can specify DALL-E to give you the resolution you want. It comes in a square resolution, a perfect square image. I think it's 1024 by 1024, but it also has a wide resolution. I think it's 1792 by...
Yes! He's using it for he literally asked it to make screenshots. He couldn't just go and grab screenshots. Well, his justification is that the output is neat. And so everything that goes into making this technology, as horrible as it is perfectly fine. He's cool with it because the output is neat. You know, when I learned what goes into making AI, the fact that its output is neat didn't hold a candle to it anymore. And that's why I stopped. Actual screenshots are more neat because you can read it. Yeah. Like, what do we got here? We have... I can barely make out the word Fedora. I think it got that. Ubuntu looks like Ubuntu. We got XFCE here, but then under it, XCE. Fedora Paulshorn. Can't even get the case on KDE correct. Line. We got the word line.
1024 or something, and then it has the opposite, 1024 by 1792 as far as a tall.
It has all these different resolutions, and I'm going to list them individually because I need runtime.
Layout, and you can specify the layout or the resolution on these images if you want. Let me actually do an example image generation here. Let's imagine I am doing a video about Emacs. So let's create an image of a computer running Emacs.
You know what I would do? I'd use a screenshot of Emacs. I would literally use a screenshot of the software Emacs so that people can see clearly what I'm talking about.
In a steampunk style. This should be fun. And I didn't specify
this should be fun.
Do a square format or a wide format. I'll just let it choose whatever resolution it sees fit.
Just let it choose whatever.
It's going to take a few seconds, maybe a minute or two.
A few seconds and 1.21 gigawatts of pure electricity.
Generate an image. And it generates.
What even is that? The one on the left looks like VS Code. It doesn't look like Emacs. It looks like VS Code. The one on the right just looks like a generic terminal emulator. Maybe Tmux with CLI Emacs? Maybe. You can't even tell what it is, though. There's no real text on the screen. Again, why not just use a screenshot of Emacs?
The images, 2 different images, and, well, these are actually not bad. I do like the steampunk computer here.
I like the steampunk computer. I'm surprised to see a steampunk computer when I requested a steampunk computer. What even is the gears don't mesh up. There's all these like meters and stuff connect. This meter here is connected to nothing at all. Why would you need a steam meter on the computer itself? That would be like connected to a tank somewhere. There shouldn't be any steam in the computer itself. What is this? It doesn't make any sense. What is this big circle thing here in the middle? Don't know. These look like pretty modern QWERTY keyboards. I'm not getting the steampunk vibe from these. Oh, hey. DT, if you're watching this. Did you know, legally speaking, neither of these images belongs to you. If these really are, as many artists would argue, composite images of a bunch of existing artworks, then they technically belong to the entire community. And so I could take them if I want to. And if they are new generations, as the AI tech bros would argue, well, they're created by a computer and not by human hands. And so they belong to no one, and so I could still take them. You can't stop me from just taking these images if I want to. I can literally do whatever I want with this, and you have no recourse. You have no ability to stop me. You have no deterrence. Nothing. Everything that AI outputs is as good as public domain. Whether you look at it from the artist's explanation of how it works, or the tech bro explanation of how it works, neither of them grant any sort of exclusive ownership to the requester. The only thing that you could say you own is if a trademark found its way in there and it was yours. But that's it. And I could just smudge brush that out.
Right. Now, obviously, you can't really read anything on the screen. So, obviously, these AI generated images, like you really can't tell what's going on this computer. And
Exactly.
there's
You
no way
can't tell
you'd
what's going
ever be able
on.
to tell that that is actually Emacs running on a computer. This one is a little bit more legible, but not really. You really can't tell what's going on. So, for purposes of like showing Emacs on a computer, this is not great. Like, this is, I
It's
probably
not great. He
wouldn't
said it
create a
himself.
thumbnail of an Emacs video using DALL-E, right? I would just take a screenshot of my actual computer running Emacs anyway, but this was just an example here. A better example would be creating an image of a fictional person doing something. For example, create
Oh, don't.
an image of a hacker sitting at a computer in ceramic art style.
Why would you want ceramic art of a hacker? Here's what I would do. If I definitely wanted it to be ceramic, I'd do something really cool. I'd find a ceramic artist and commission a ceramic model of a hacker sitting at a computer. And in doing that, I would not only be creating something that is genuinely beautiful to look at, but I'd be giving an artist work that helps their livelihood. Here, you are literally doing something that is replacing what should have been done by an artist. You've taken an artist's job,
And it's generating the image.
and this is why people are mad at you. Like, not only do these look like crap, like what is this? Is his foot missing, or is that like a part of the floor bending up over it? There's a plug here leading to nothing. This isn't even a computer here. This is like some weird spiral thing. There's nothing on screen. The screen is like just some broken tiles. You could have had a real artist do this. Yeah, it would have taken a while and it would have cost money, but you would have had something that made sense, that was actually nice to look at. I just. And of course, if it doesn't need to be ceramic, if you just need a picture of a hacker, there's a site called Pixabay, which has a bunch of public domain images on it. You can just use those. Like this serves no purpose. You've accomplished nothing by doing this, except steal an opportunity for an artist to get some work.
Obviously, this is a much better kind of image here. And I just think this is neat. I don't know why people have something against these AI generated images.
Because you're not listening to people. You think it's neat, you see people disagreeing with you, and rather than listen to what they have to say, you're just getting upset and making a defense video. I just think it's neat. That's not a defense. I think it's neat is not a defense. If someone is telling you, hey, this is hurting us, this is stealing our jobs, this is pushing us out of the market, and there's only so many dead-end food service jobs to go around. We live in a society that demands we keep working no matter what, even though there's less essential work that actually needs to be done than there are people to do it. Far, far less. We could just be divvying up the essential work. If it were up to me, like, we would all just have a part-time job where we just do whatever essential tasks we're qualified for. Maybe some essential tasks require people to work on it full-time, like being a teacher. I get that. You need like special training. You need consistency. I get that. Some jobs, can't be put into the collective pool. But stuff to just keep things going. Everyone could just do it in turn like jury duty, And then we wouldn't need all these companies making up worthless jobs that do nothing just to keep us working. We wouldn't need them. But we need them now because we're in capitalism, and because capitalism also says that the owner must make as much money as they can. They're pushing out workers. So now you got even less jobs to go around. Thank you for the hydrate. My throat's starting to hurt. And the typical right-wing response is, you just don't want to work. You just want to be lazy. You just want free time. No, I want to work. I just want to work on something that's meaningful. And hey, why should we work more than we need to? If hard work really was its own reward, we'd all be happy. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And now this guy here is like, DT, you are the owner of your channel. You're the owner, right? You benefit from this because you're the owner. If you were the artist, losing your job to this, you would not think it's neat. You would not think it's neat that the channel owner is using AI instead of your art. The only hard work reward I want is programming my own projects. Exactly! And that is work. But it's work you do for fun, so it's a hobby. But you're adding value to the world as well. Like AI, it's not work, and it's not adding value. It's neither. But it benefits the owner class, so they love it. DT is an owner, so he loves it. He's able to make more money using this, so he loves it. And until people in general, not just the artists, but like everyone, realizes that this is slop and stops supporting it, it will continue to be profitable, and the owner class will continue to use it. The only way to beat generative AI is for everyone to collectively boycott it, which that's a tall order. But hey, I would honestly expect the right wing to be against AI, because, you know, they're anti-laziness. You're not working when you use AI. You use it to be lazy. You use it so that you don't have to make stuff yourself. But they're not looking at it like that. They're looking at it like, I don't have to pay someone to make it for me. I can get it for free.
They're neat, right, man? These are styles of images that you normally wouldn't get. Like I can create images myself. Like I obviously have made thousands of thumbnails on my YouTube.
By the way, DT, your thumbnails before you started doing the black and purple theme looked way better. Just saying. The new ones where it's just a picture of you pointing at blocks of text, those suck. Your old thumbnails looked way better. They were clean, they were concise, they were easy on the eyes. Snoop, no! I know what you're thinking. No! But hey, that's just AI. A slop theory.
Channels over the years. I can take pictures of myself for a thumbnail. I take pictures of my desktop or screenshots of my computer. I can go grab stock photographs off a stock photo website. You know.
And yeah, he's listing stuff that's easier and faster than using AI. It is so much easier to just take a screenshot yourself or grab one off of Google or whatever than it is to go up there, wait for it to generate. And he skipped the part about how if you're doing this, you don't just ask it and then immediately get something good. You have to sit there and tap regenerate over and over until something vaguely resembling your vision pops up. And then you're like, oh, wow, AI's so great. It literally runs on confirmation bias. You have to sift through so much slop yourself before you finally get something you want, and then suddenly it's wonderful.
You know, if I want a photograph of, something that, I don't have the capability of taking a photograph of that particular thing, I can go grab stock photos.
Just grab stock photos.
But, sometimes you want to create really unique art.
You want to create? Okay, then, create! Because you already said the magic word earlier. All you're doing is requesting. You're not creating. You're requesting.
And that's where a project like DALL-E, man, I love these things. And again, I don't understand the resistance to these tools.
Because you aren't listening. I'm so sick of people arguing from incredulity. I don't understand, so I'm against it. I don't understand, so I think you're just dumb. You're wrong because I don't understand. I think it's neat.
Now, will I continue to use DALL-E to create my thumbnails? Yes and no. I think in...
Yes and no. I'm gonna be kind of pretend to be on the fence about it, but really, you all know that I'm gonna keep doing it unless my channel tanks, because I'm doing it. But then he'll probably do the shad and be like, well, I'm still making good content. I have no idea why my channel's suffering. It must be a conspiracy against me.
In some cases and some circumstances, I could create some really interesting thumbnails for
You're not creating.
certain topics of videos using Dolly, but I would say for 95% of my videos, I don't need Dolly to create a thumbnail.
Okay. For 95%, you don't need it, right? What is the 5% that you actually need it? Please tell me, what is the actual reason you need Dolly to make you a thumbnail? I can think of one reason, and that is making a video talking about how AI art is crap and using an awful Dolly generation as an example in the thumbnail. There you go. There's your legitimate use. I've just given you a legitimate use. Take it. Just take it. Go ahead, do it.
I just don't think it would be appropriate for most of my thumbnails, but I would certainly use Dolly on occasion. Now, for me, I like...
Please tell me, when is it appropriate? I'm begging you. Just for once, I want one of these people when they're making their defense videos to actually give examples instead of just arguing from emotion. Like you said at the beginning, there's some good uses for AI. I don't understand the backlash against it. Didn't say any of the actual good uses. And now here he's saying that 5% of his thumbnails could benefit.
You need sand.
I need some sand. I need some freaking pocket sand, but unfortunately, this guy wears glasses, so he's immune. But yeah, like, what is the 5% that would benefit from Dolly? I genuinely want to know. What do you need in your thumbnails with AI art that you can't get from photos or screenshots or stock images? I mean, even if you're talking about some abstract concept, chances are there's already art out there that exists of it, and you just have to ask. Or you give people a job making art. You commission them to make art for you.
free and open source software, and kind of like with ChatGPT, now we have open source alternatives to ChatGPT, such as Ollama.
Llama's not
Eventually,
open.
Some open source alternatives to DALL-E, some of this AI generative image tooling. We're going to get some open source alternatives to that, and I can't wait for the open source.
In the meantime, I'm gonna I'm gonna shill the proprietary garbage, and you all are gonna love it, because this is me going forward. Why do so many people call Llama open source? Because Meta markets it as open source. And they listen to the marketing instead of actually what the evidence shows. Like, this is... I hate getting back on the political spectrum, but this is such a common thing with the right, is they listen to what they're told instead of looking at what they can see with their own eyeballs. And if there is any sort of disagreement, they listen to what people on their side say and not what the opposition ever says. It's like going to court and only listening to the prosecution, and instead of listening to the defense, you listen to what the prosecution says about the defense. A judge who did that would get disbarred immediately. But these people do it with their daily lives. Because they're constantly being... One of the things, you see this a lot in church especially, is they're always being told that the other side will lie. They will deceive you. Don't listen to them. It's the perfect insulation to keep people from listening to any sort of disagreement. If you don't immediately understand why someone is upset with you about something, they must be wrong. You're right for doing what you want.
Implementations. Maybe there's some already out there I'm just not aware of. I really haven't explored this avenue very much because I'm far less concerned about creating AI generated images or AI generated video than I am with the chat assistants, because I find
You're far less concerned because you benefit from it. Because it lets you churn out content a little bit faster. I'm waiting for him to start like letting AI write his scripts. How long before we start hearing AI scripts from Chad GDT? That's what I'm going to start calling him now, Chad GDT.
like the tech stuff. I find that much more useful in my day-to-day work. But again, AI is the future in so many areas of our life. AI.
I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. We elected a fascist. Fascism is our future. Should we embrace it? Or should we fight it?
is infiltrating those areas of our life.
He freaking said infiltrating. We should embrace the infiltration, guys. This stuff is literally worming its way in like maggots. We should embrace it.
And will continue to infiltrate more areas of our life. So if you're one of these people that are resisting AI, at some point you have to embrace it. You just have to embrace reality.
If you're one of these people resisting fascism, you should just embrace it. If you're one of these people resisting your privacy being violated, you should just embrace it. If you're one of these people resisting companies that don't ask permission, you should just embrace it. If you're one of these people resisting gun violence, you should just embrace it. And if anyone thinks that that's a weird tangent for me to suddenly bring up gun violence, this is the same guy who tried to equate free software with gun rights. Hey, yeah. Hey, DT. I'm gonna punch you right in your glasses. That's the future. You should embrace it. Don't dodge. Don't try to resist. Does that make sense to you, DT? Does that, like, if someone actually said that to you, someone came up to you and was like, I'm gonna hit you in the face. It's the future. Just embrace it. Oh, yeah, you're right. He probably won't realize I'm joking. I guarantee he won't realize I'm joking. Yeah, you have to point out that you're joking to him. I guarantee he won't get it. DT win jokes. DT honestly cannot make jokes to save his life. There are some satire videos that he's made in the past where he sounds exactly like his normal self, and you can't tell he's joking until the end when he says, I'm joking. He literally talks exactly the way he's talking in this video. You cannot tell when this man is joking. Which is why I believed, when I first saw it, that the next video we're going to be looking at was a joke. Until I couldn't find any sign that it was.
Now, before I go, I need to thank a few special people. I need to thank the producer.
Every one of you people on this screen needs to unsub from his Patreon, please. Of course, he did do a Patreon chat stream a while ago, so I'm guessing some of these people are still supporting him. I don't know if these people are AI bros or if they're just unaware. Maybe they're a little late to the party. I don't know. I hope that's the case. I mean, not on this video, of course. I know that this video, they had no idea this was going to happen. They probably didn't even notice the thumbnail. Well, that was a thing.
It is often said that many Linux users, if not most Linux users, have an elitist attitude.
I've never heard this before. Arch Linux packaging? No, what's the change? Also, I gotta preface this. This is an older video of his from like a long time ago. But, I actually meant to respond to this when it came out, and I never got the chance. Oh my gosh, not in the coffee again. I will always be in the coffee. But yeah, this is an older video, and I've yet to see him take it down or make any sort of retraction or correction to it, so I'm gonna just assume, for the sake of conversation, that he still believes everything in this video. Oh, the licensing! Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, some jurisdictions, like, they'll enforce the copyright themselves instead of waiting for the copyright holder to do anything about it. It's just, kind of stupid. Like, you can tell them, just leave people alone, and they're like, well, you haven't licensed it, so we can't. It's like, yeah, you can. You literally just do nothing.
We love to talk about how much better our operating system is compared to the alternatives. Sometimes we love to talk about how much Linux changed our lives, changed the way we work, sometimes just changed.
Is it really elitist to say that a thing made your life better? Like, I started eating healthier, and it made my life better. I have more energy. That doesn't mean that I'm saying I'm better than anyone for it. I'm saying it benefited me. The thing is better, not me. I started exercising more and now I feel great. I think it can be if you say it really badly. Okay, so who's going around saying that they're a better person for using Linux?
The way we interact with the world in general. And when non-Linux users hear us talking this way, they assume that we must be arrogant, elitist a-holes.
I mean, yeah, that's probably... I wonder if this video actually came out because, like, he came off as elitist to someone and they called him out on it. And so now this is like another defense video. Because I've never even implied that I was a better person for using Linux when talking to people. I just tell people that I enjoy it more and I like the freedom it gives me. And I like being able to do what I want with my computer.
But do we really have an elitist attitude? Yes, we do. But there
Yes, we do. That escalated quickly.
is a reason we have this elitist attitude. It's because we are elite.
Oh my god, just straight up says it. Just saying the quiet part out loud again. Dude needs a filter on his mouth.
It's not an attitude. It's a fact. Think of
Oh my god. Ooh, I feel legit dirty hearing him say that. He's like a Linux supremacist. Oh my god. This is gross. This is like the technology equivalent of bioessentialism. This is OS essentialism. I'm just better because I use Linux. He needs his brain init program to be piped into no.
about it for a minute. Why are we elite, the Linux users? Well, let me give you some reasons. Number one, we are the 2%.
That doesn't make you elite. That makes you marginalized. You're only elite if you're like the top 2%. Like the top richest people in the world are like 1% of the population. They call themselves the elite because they're like the elite class. They're the owner class, right? But just being a minority doesn't make you elite.
Think about that. So, for desktop computer users, Linux accounts for about 2% of desktop market share.
I think it's gone up to like 4% lately. This is an old video, of course, so. But I take this as a bad thing. If Linux users are just 2%, it just means that 98% of people are not experiencing any form of software freedom. They don't actually own their computer, right? That doesn't make us elite. That just makes everyone else a prisoner. If you escape from some awful fascist country and go into some place that's more of a democracy, you're not better for now living there. You're better off, but you're not a better person than the people who are still in that other country. They're stuck. It's really, this is the opposite of survivor's remorse. This is, I feel so bad that I'm the one who got out. It should have been one of them. This is, I'm better because I got out. I survived the Titanic, and everyone else who died is just a survivor pride. There we go. This guy's got survivor pride for escaping to Linux. It's hilarious.
So, what could be more elite than that? And it really goes...
What could be more elite than 2%? I don't know, maybe 1%? Maybe 0.5? Maybe a tiny fraction? Maybe just the 1? Not even percent, just the 1? I think that could be more elite, possibly, than 2%. I think a lot of things could be more elite than 2%.
Beyond just the operating system that we've chosen to run, many Linux users, we're kind of non-conformist. We go against
0% running Linux. It's so elite no one runs it.
the rest of the crowd. And that's really how many of us ended up on Linux. It's because, we see where everybody else goes. We typically run the other direction. Reason number 2, we are far more computer literate than your typical Windows or
Remember, if you can read, you're better than people who can't read.
Mac user. We just are. Linux users are aware of things that the majority...
And in case DT doesn't understand the joke there, I'm not talking about computer literacy meaning you can read. I'm just equating computer literacy to regular literacy. Just because you can do something, just because you understand something, doesn't mean that you are better than people who don't, who haven't had the chance to learn. Maybe they literally haven't had the opportunity to learn. So like, I'm not aware of at least half the things I do on Linux. Yeah, like, I'm a freaking casual user. People are talking about things like monads and just all this other stuff, and I'm just like, I don't get the conversation. I don't get what they're talking about. I just use it for the philosophy mostly, and because it's a bit easier to code on. That's it. Thank you, Tulip. I needed that.
Majority of Windows and Mac users have never even considered. We know what an operating system actually is. We know about things like
That's like saying people who have lived underground their entire life have never considered the sky. It's because they don't even know it exists. Because they live underground their whole life. Why are you shaming people for not knowing that a thing even exists when you should be educating them? Dude, this is the guy who we just watched complaining about not understanding that the perspective of artists against AI. Yet here he is now on the other side, being like, "Huh, these people don't understand. I'm better than them." So hey, tell me, DT, if you did suddenly understand why AI is harmful, generally speaking, would you then believe that you're better than the tech bros instead of just that maybe they're the victims of cults of personality? I don't know. I think this guy's just looking for reasons to feel like he's better than other people. That's what makes me feel like I'm better than him, because I don't do that.
the kernel, init systems, desktop environments, window managers, compositors. We know about file systems and file permissions, user permissions, package management. These are things that 99%.
Package management doesn't even exist on Windows. Why would anyone think about package management? Again, underground sky. No one knows what the sky is because it doesn't exist underground.
Of the people that run Windows or Mac, they don't know anything about that.
Well, I guess if you count the Windows Store, but like, you're not going in your terminal and saying, yeah, like, install this software for me. You're going to a store. Most Windows software, oh, not including. Something must have changed. I haven't touched it since 10, so.
They've never even heard these words before, much less actually know what they mean. Reason number 3, Linux is used in a lot of elite fields.
Hey. The American elite class, they use boats. Did you know that? They use boats. So I got on a boat once. Does that make me elite? Used in elite fields. This is gonna be dumb.
Many Linux users are using Linux on the server, on mainframes, in enterprise. They're using it as development platforms. They're using it in scientific endeavor, often using it in really high-end data.
So, because people are using it for high-end stuff, that means that everyone who uses it is now elite for using it. This is reverse guilty by association. This is elite by association. Editor Kelvin here. Just wanted to point out that this actually reminds me of the earlier argument of AI bros saying that because an AI can be used to detect cancer, that means that generative AI is good. Because, these guys are using AI for this, so us using AI makes us as good as them, which is, it's the same brand of stupidity. So I just thought I should point that out too. This is just in-group, out-group thinking. Hey, we're the guys who use this, that means that we're just as good as... Like, okay, these people who are building servers and writing whole web platforms and stuff, and here you are just talking about Linux on YouTube, you and them, you two are not the same. They are going to look at you, and they are going to say, we are not the same. You are not in their class.
Intensive environments. Linux just dominates in these areas where operating systems like Windows and Mac, they're really only geared for one kind of use, and that is the home consumer crowd. Reason?
Yeah, and how many home consumers using Linux do the stuff like building and managing servers? How many of them are doing machine learning? How many of them are doing deep comp sci research? Most of them aren't. They are nowhere near the same. Just because they use the same tool. Again, those people drive cars. I drive a car. Am I a computer scientist expert because I drive a car? Just because you use some of the same tools doesn't mean you use them for the same things. Carpenters use hammers. I've used a hammer before. Does that make me a carpenter?
Number 4, Linux users are passionate about their operating system.
Being passion does not make you elite. That's just a feeling. This doesn't even, I can't even think of how this even warrants response. This is so stupid. This has to be the stupidest reason. Because they feel for it. They feel passionate about it. That's not a reason to be elite. Yeah, Adobe fans are very passionate about Adobe.
I have never met a Windows user that was really passionate about running Windows. I've never met one. Now, Mac users, I have met plenty of Mac fanboys, but still, they are
well, this other one, they've got fanboys too, but they don't count.
not as passionate about their operating system the way the Linux user is passionate about his operating system. For those of us that run Linux, Linux is more than just the software we run. Linux is a way of life. It is an idea, an ideal. Linux is also our community.
Also, tell me that there's no one passionate about Windows. I've seen whole channels that are talking about like Windows features, things you can do with Windows, how to use Windows. Same stuff that DT does about Linux. He does sound like he's shilling a cult. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's in a cult.
There is no real sense of community when you talk about Windows and Mac.
There's no sense of community. Again, just because it gives you a sense of community doesn't mean it's better. Like that's literally got nothing to do. Harry Potter is one of the worst written works of fiction ever. Has some of the worst world building ever. People love it for the escapist fantasy, and it's created a huge community. Does that mean that Harry Potter is a good book because of the community around it? No. You can get a sense of community from literally anything. And the fact that you personally don't get a sense of community from that thing doesn't mean that others don't, and doesn't mean that they're any worse than you, that they're any less elite than you. I found a frickin' barbecue sauce community where people trade barbecue sauce recipes and talk about their favorite flavors of barbecue sauce and what types of barbecue sauce they recommend on different dishes. What other sauces mix well with barbecue sauce. Frickin' barbecue sauce has a community. Does that mean that I'm elite? Because I like barbecue sauce on my nuggies? Oh yeah, there's a lot of different barbecue sauce.
The way it is in the Linux community. And it's not just that we love to go against the grain and run software that most other people do not run.
This is the you get warm feelies in church argument. This is nothing.
Linux users actually think that their operating system is better than every other operating system out there. In fact, we know it's better.
Just because the operating system is better doesn't mean you're a better person for using it. I'm an elite squirrel, Kelvin. Yeah. Hey, I've met a bunch of other squirrels since I started, looking for them. And now I've got a sense of community with all my squirrel buddies. Does that make me an elite squirrel? Am I elite for being a squirrel? And every other squirrel out there is elite too, because I feel that sense of eliteness, which means that every other squirrel is elite, just for sharing a species with me. But I'm also the only squirrel shadewing hybrid, so that makes me more elite than all of you. I'm just better than all of you because I really am the just one. I'm the freaking Homelander, Highlander, whichever one that is, of squirrels. I don't know, Marvel. I'm elite. I'm more elite because I participate in barbecue sauce. Let's leave that out of this, shall we?
Why do we know it's better? Well, number 5. Linux users are control freaks.
Oh my god, using control freaks as saying being a control freak makes you elite. Hey, all the Karens are elites. Mr. Potatoes 28, hi, welcome in. We're watching other Linux tubers today. I kinda want to feature Brody just to have him on, but let's be honest, I don't think Brody's actually made a cringe video before. This guy's fun to make fun of. I know that there's plenty of cringe videos from Lunduke, but I'll just get mad if I watch Lunduke. If he has, I've honestly not seen it. If you want to recommend one, go ahead, but I've honestly never seen a Brody video that I didn't like.
So those of you that have actually used both Windows
Like, at worst, it's about a subject that I just don't care about.
and Linux, let me ask you a few things. Which of those two operating systems can be updated while running? Which of those two operating systems allow you to choose the times when you want the operating system?
DT, you should reset your computer after updating Linux. It's generally not recommended to continue using it after running an update. I mean, yeah, you have the freedom to update whenever you want, but you really shouldn't continue running it after updating. Just saying. You're gonna break something, dude.
To update itself. Which of those operating systems boots in the fastest time? Which of those operating systems installs in the fastest time? Which of those operating systems respect my privacy? Which of those operating systems reinstalls in 15 minutes or less with all of my user data still intact?
Again, DT, you're not a better person for having a better tool. It just means you have a better tool.
So Linux users, we definitely have an elitist attitude.
Having an elitist attitude and being elite are totally different. You're the only one here who's got an elitist attitude. By the way, that's my thumbnail right there. That's my freaking thumbnail right there. Oh, that's good.
It's true. I think Linux attracts the elite user much more so than Windows and Mac do.
No, it attracts the nerdy user.
So yes, we are in fact elitist, but
Again, conflating elitist with actually elite. He's been doing that the whole video. Is GNU Herd even alive? I don't know. I never hear anyone talk about it.
if you are a Windows or a Mac user, do not let our elitism be off-putting or offensive to you.
I am actively contributing to the reputation that the Linux community is toxic, but don't let that deter you from joining our community. I'm Derek Taylor, suffering through your world as I see it.
Because all the reasons I've given in this video, and I could have listed many, many more reasons.
I'm sure you could have. In fact, I wish you had. Maybe you would have come up with something valid. Everything that he has said has not contributed to why Linux users are elite, and has perfectly explained why they're stupid for being elitist. And he's also not given any examples of, like, anyone other than himself actually being elitist. All he's doing is outing himself as an elitist with this. He's not contributing anything. He's not explaining anything. Love my ping tuber. Thank you. But yeah, GNU Herd is still alive. It's still in development? What runs on it? I wonder. Like, am I going to have to build everything from scratch because no one's made binaries for it? Debian has a GNU Herd release. Oh, interesting. I'm guessing Stallman made Herd because he wanted a kernel that could stick with the latest GPL instead of being stuck on 2, which I applaud him for. It's just a shame it's not more popular.
After you see the reasons why we have this elitist attitude, how could we possibly avoid being elitist?
Here's how you avoid being elitist. Don't be a dick. Recognize that you are as much human as everyone else, says the squirrel, I know. Recognize that everyone else using their computers, they're people too. Like, you're all just computing, and hey, yeah, some of these people are stuck. Some of these people don't know. Maybe you should reach out to them. Maybe you should teach them. Instead of being elitist and, like, literally coming here. This is the dude who makes Linux tutorials. He makes overviews of software. Basically, his whole channel is about making Linux look more approachable and easy to use. Wouldn't that cause Linux use to grow and thus detract from this elitism that he believes is there? Like, what is his motive with this video? Aside from outing himself as an elitist, what is his motive? I don't freaking get it. DT, if you're watching this, when I put the VOD on YouTube, please, for the love of GNU, what is your motive for bragging about your elitism? And why do you think that elitism and actually being elite are the same thing? Elitism is an attitude, and elite is a class. They're two different things. You can actually be part of the elite class and not be elitist. Like, you could be up there and recognize that there's, like, systemic issues and stuff and want to work to change it. You'd have the rest of the elite against you, but that could still exist. You could be up there and believe that everyone around you is just as valid as you are. You could believe that you are no better than anyone else based on class. You can be elite without being elitist. Meanwhile, you could be like this guy, dude down here just complaining about stuff on YouTube and having an elitist attitude, thinking he's better than people because he uses Linux. That does not make you better than anyone.